Well, I think last night kind of speaks to how good this conference really is, and what we've been saying all year. The next challenge for us is a team that we didn't play very well against in the first game. I give Ohio State a lot of credit because they made shots. They're equally, if you want to use the term hot, they're playing as well as we have been. And they've been finding ways to win games. They're doing it with their defense. They pose a problem in terms of Big Wesson in the middle. Is a guy that has really expanded his game. I think he's shooting 70% from the three in his last 5. He's a guy that is a handful on the block as well. And then you've got another freshman in this league, in Luther Muhammad, that has really stepped his game up the last 5. He's shooting 57, 58% from the three, and a team that again is finding their way as the season has progressed, and is finding ways to win games, and that's a tribute to Chris and that team, and we're going to have to go in there and play extremely well.
Brad, you mentioned the Penn State game last night and their win in the quality of the league. Does it also speak to how hard it is to win on the road? Oh,
there's no doubt, and I've been a part of 3 Power 5 leagues, and I've never seen anything like it in this league. In terms of one, the venues are great, but you put big crowds, you put the energy in some of these buildings. It's a huge advantage, and it makes it very, very difficult. You got to be a tough-minded. You've got to really execute, and you look at what Michigan State did at Wisconsin last night. There's a reason they've been at the top of the league. They've been well established in terms of their toughness and their ability to execute down the stretch.
How much is the next step going on the road and winning for you guys?
I think it's a big part of anything. I think when you have the goal of trying to win conference championships and be successful in the postseason, winning on the road is something that you have to learn to accomplish, and you have to learn to do. And it's a locker room full of guys committed to each other. It's a locker room that you have to execute, and there's got to be some toughness beyond that. And you usually don't shoot the ball as well on the road at home, and so you've got to find ways to make up with that. And loose balls, 50-50 balls, offensive rebounds, toughness things are important, and those are things that you have to do.
I realize we're more than halfway through the season, and this may be a byproduct of just being at this point, but how much have guys bought into roles and where they're at and feeling comfortable with all of that?
Well, I think it's one of the reasons we've started to turn the corner a little bit and have some success is, everybody understands, Dre's a great example, very dialed into what his role is, and his minutes are going to be the same whether he started or comes off the bench. I think, we've become very accustomed with and acclimated to Adonis coming off the bench, knowing we're going to get 12 to 15, 16 minutes a game, and so we're defined a lot more in who we are, and that's helped us, and that's one of the reasons we're playing better.
Kind of going off of that, the bench unit, especially over these last 3 games, kind of solidified itself in the rotations. How much had that unit meant to you guys just so far this recent stretch? Well,
you guys know me by now that I'm as concerned about the bench as I am who starts, and making sure we've got productivity off the bench, that there's not a lot of slippage. And Adonis's play has helped solidify that middle. Dre has been just incredible in terms of what he's done in the last 10 ball games. He's continued to improve, and then we've gotten some inconsistent play, but yet solid play from Kipper, Tevian, and Allen, and I thought Allen was terrific in the last game. So we're getting better there.
Coach Io and Georgie win Big Ten Freshman of the Week, Big Ten Player of the Week. First time in the league that 2 different freshmen won that award. What does that mean to your program?
Well, I think it speaks a lot to our team. Individual awards usually happen when you're winning, when you're having success, and obviously, Georgie's success came, because guys got him the ball and were able to do some things to be successful, and he finished it. Io's, I thought a couple times had great opportunities to win Freshman of the Week award speaks to how good our league is with some of the young guys. But he's had a sensational week, and it's big for our program. It's big to have guys that are young and accomplishing great things, and we can sell that in a lot of different ways.
How would you say they're handling the success and the attention they're getting?
We talk about it a lot. You got to be careful you don't drink the poison, and it's about the locker room and it's about the guys in there, and those are the only thing that matters. And I try to keep it very real with them and very honest. Some things we didn't do very very well against Rutgers that we've got to get better at, and try not to make too much out of it, and just be consistent in who we are every single day.
In terms of your lineup, you talked about DeMonte earlier in the season of being a guy that liked to come off the bench, maybe referred to that. What have you liked from him in that starting role when he's back there?
Well, he's been a lockdown defender. He gives us a sense of toughness. He got 2 or 3 rebounds the other night that were just tremendous rebounds, that were effort rebounds. His IQ defensively. If DeMonte does one thing, it's usually over helping. But it's one thing that I think we've got to get other guys dialed into when he's not in the game. But he's been exceptional here in terms of his playing his role on this team.
Brett, is there one thing that's been a theme for some of these road losses, or has that been kind of dictated by the opponents?
No, I think every game's got its own identity, so to speak. Our last game in Minnesota, we got a 5-point lead. We give up a couple offensive rebounds that we should have had both of them, to be quite honest. And those are the little plays that you have to make on the road to win. And they capitalized with 2 threes off those offensive rebounds. And to win on the road, you've got to have some a little extra toughness and a little extra grit, and maybe we haven't had that quite enough.
What do you think's the area you've improved the most since the last time you faced Ohio State?
My hope in every area, and watching the film, that was I don't know if that was painful or a comedy show or maybe all of the above, but I think defensively we're much more solid in terms of what we're trying to do, and I hope that's the case. We went the first 6.5 minutes of that ball game and never made more than 2 passes. I'd like to think we're a little better offensively in terms of executing in the half court. But that being said, they're better as well, and they're doing some things better. So, you'll see 2 improved basketball teams tomorrow night.
What's the change you've seen in Ohio State? It's been 2 months since you played.
Yeah, and again, they've fought through a few things. A young kid was out for a little bit. I think they're shooting the heck out of it. They're getting almost 40% of their point productions coming from the 3. You've really seen them expand Wesson's game in terms of him initiating offense, him popping, shooting the 3. Then you've seen the growth of Luther Muhammad and all those guys, Musa Jallo, right on down the list. All those guys have been very, very productive and kind of grown into their roles as well.
I guess, with the Big Ten, you see it as a conference that maybe values big guys more. I mean, Nick Ward and Ethan Happ going at each other last night. Georgie and Caleb Blessing. I mean, it seems like every team has a pretty dominant big guy. Well,
I think I think that's the kind of the history of the Big Ten. Is there's value in those guys. I think it's the style of play that teams choose to play. But it's to each their own, really. I think that it helps when you have it. Villanova had a lot of success, win a national championship without one. So, but in this league, size helps, and you've got a guy like Wesson we face next, who's 270 pounds and very, very skilled, and you've got to account for him. And so, being able to account for guys like that is important.
Adonis seems like was a natural fit when you guys played to go up against Wesson, but how much has he kind of changed and settled in since that first meeting, and how important is he?
Well, he was just barely back. I mean, it was really, I don't will say unfair. He was ready to play. He was healthy, but he had so little experience in what we were doing at that time. His game has matured. he's growing. He's grown a lot, and he's a guy that we feel comfortable with, and he's he's guarding ball screens better. He's executing offensively better. He's impacting the game by getting to the free throw line in his hard post ups and drawing fouls, which is something that we didn't look for him to do that. First game, we were just trying to get him 2 or 3 trips up the court without him needing oxygen, and we've kind of gotten that gotten by that.
How much do you have to get prepared for defenses throwing everything at Georgie now? Maybe he's at the top of the scouting report. I don't know.
Well, I think he's going to be an option. There's no doubt. I think we're talking about a guy that's going to warrant a double team. Ohio State doubles anyway. They do that a lot to protect Wesson. So I think that we've spent some time here recent talking about that and putting some stuff in to counter that. But that's one of the things that plays right into Georgie's hands. Is he's an excellent passer and he's very unselfish. So in doing that, we've thought all along we could run offense through him, and we hope that makes our other guys better.
Defensively, for Georgie, between now and the first Ohio State game, where are his fouls per minute?
I don't know where they're at per minute. I mean, we're keeping him on the court a lot more. I'm not as knock on wood. I'm not as worried about it. Once he picks up his first, immediately collecting his second. But his positioning's always been good, and he's so solid. With that he avoids it. He's got a hard job. Wesson puts a lot of fouls on people. He's top 10 in the country in putting fouls on guys. So, but it's not just Georgie. We've got to do our job on the perimeter and help make those touches hard for him.
I remember at that first game you guys had a halftime lead and lost in the second half. How have you grown in that spot just to kind of close out games?
Well, I think that I hope we have. I hope we've. That's a game we missed 18 layups and really played with no flow offensively. And I hope we're executing better. They went right at us with Wesson, and that's something we've got to open the second half. We know what people are trying to do. We've got to be able to take it away, and those were our mistakes. But offensively, we've got to help ourselves a little bit by not missing 18 layups.
Coach, you mentioned, excuse me, you liked Allen's minutes over the weekend. Where do you see him progressing, and is he close to maybe having a breakthrough?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And he's had 2 great days of practice. Yesterday was as good a practice as he's had since he's been in a uniform, but he's buying in defensively. He's getting to where he's contributing. I love his length. Gets his hands on balls. He's a rebounder. We all know he can really shoot it, and I think it's just the opportunities to get comfortable, and he can be that guy that can be a productive offensive guy off the bench, and we're starting to see that in practice. Thanks, guys.
Good luck.